Hi, welcome to Prime Recapped. A man decides to build his huge luxurious house in a forest, but he will have the presence of an ancient legendary creature that won't let anyone destroy his home. Today we will recap the live action of Woodpecker to 2017. In a big forest, two bird hunters are trying to carry out the legal practice of catching birds. Even though they know that in that area it's danger, they completely ignore the warnings and go on the hunt. When one entered the forest of men starts to make noise when eating a packet of snacks. For them this is something relatively common, but through this they end up awakening the sleep of the creature that would become their worst nightmare. In a tree with an interior full of furniture and objects made of wood chips, Pow slept peacefully, but when he heard some strange sounds in the forest, he woke up quickly and went to observe what was happening. When he arrived to the place, notices the visit of two hunters. The bird is so fast that it passed by the men without them even noticing its presence. The bird then decides to have fun with the whole situation. He draws the attention of the hunters, who react quickly, pointing their weapons in the direction of Woodpecker with the aim of hunting eagles. The two men believe that that strange bird could be worth a good reward, and so they decide they will stuff it. With that idea in mind, they start shooting several darts with sleeping pills at the woodpecker for his wants. He finds that a funny way to have fun and decides to enter the game. He dodges all the shots easily. Then the bird pretends he is cornered by the hunters. With that, the two men decide to shoot in the direction of the creature, but Woodpecker dodges the projects, fooling the hunters again, who at that moment are hit by their own shots. The bird then celebrates one more of its amazing behold made with his classic laugh. At that moment in the city, far from the trees and streams, a renowned lawyer celebrates with his co-workers, but a cause won by him in the name of the company. His great happiness is reduced with the arrival of his boss. The woman says beyond if that his last work for which he was celebrating negatively influenced the name of the company, because in an interview the man offended all the defenders of environmental causes, not caring about the risks that this could bring to the image of the law firm. Because of that, he receives a letter of resignation. Later, when talking to his girlfriend Vanessa, he is not shaken, saying that he will not give up, and with that he intends to create his own company. Read if he tells Vanessa that he has an area reserved for construction in a forest near the border with Canada. In that location he wants to build a house and then sell a property and earn good money. His girlfriend Radha is wary of the idea, as she is a city woman, as she needs the comforts that civilization offers. That same night, the two hunters who earlier confronted woodpeckers look for more information about this bird so mysterious. They discover that the species of extinction, and for this reason it is very rare on the internet. They discover that through illicit means the bird was sold for $500,000. With this information, the two are even more anxious to capture and the legendary bird back to the city. Firewoods, his girlfriend, are getting ready to move into their vacation home, but they are visited by Linda, his ex-wife, and their son Tom, who is not very close. Linda says that her father ended up getting very sick and had to be hospitalized. She will make a trip to visit him, but he won't be able to take a drink, and that's why he asks that Bid stay with his son. At least the screen returns. The lawyer refuses the request, saying he will make a trip to deal with business, but he still doesn't give up. The next day it ends following trip with his father. Read like this: then he has the idea of creating bonds with his son. After all, the two never talked much and were always very distant from each other. The boy on the other side doesn't care so much and goes on the trip listening to his songs on the phone. Vanessa doesn't like the idea of having him next to them. She said she never liked children, and it wouldn't be now that she would change her thinking. In the forest, the couple starts to make preparations for camping and temporarily on site. In the meantime, still not giving a damn, just having fun with his cell phone. Woodpecker, who lives nearby, in sight of the arrival of new tourists, and he watches carefully from his tree. At that moment, the newcomers receive the welcome from the ranger Samantha. She explains to the couple that some hunters are carrying out illegal activities in the area, and that if they see something suspicious they should inform her immediately. Read if you agree, and explain that they will not stay long in that area because their intention is just to build a house and sell it. That way he shows the construction plan, stating that the property will have 470 square meters of pure luxury and comfort. Samantha is worried about this idea, saying that it could directly affect the natural landscape of the forest. Lace, on the other hand, says she doesn't care. After all, the house will be built in the area that was given to him by her grandfather, and Vanessa compliments, saying that in no way would they live in a place in that. Samantha says they could build a more modest and compact house so they wouldn't harm the ecology so seriously. But the lawyer replies that he is the owner and will do whatever he wants with his property. Listening to this more aggressive response from the guard, Forrest says goodbye to everyone and leaves. Meanwhile, he decides to walk around the area. He sits on a bench and observes the landscape. From his peanuts, the boy starts to make small beats on the table, imitating the music he was listening to with his headphones, but he quickly notices a strange sound coming from the surroundings. All the beat he plays is copied by someone. After that, the woodpecker comes out of a trash can who was nearby. He had already noticed the boy's presence, and through the beats generated by him, he begins to dance very excitedly. Quickly, the bird smells peanuts and without thinking much asks the tourist to give him some. He takes it, then ignores it, the warning that was in place not to feed the wild animals. Woodpecker a little of the peanuts, getting happy to eat something totally different from the usual. The boy then tries to pet the bird, and even though the creature is afraid of the idea, ends up giving in for a briefly. The bird breaks the fourth wall and says that he has no friendship with the boy and was just letting the boy do what he wanted. And he got more peanuts. Later he meets with his father and Vanessa. They were about to taste finally a nice feast, but the tranquility ends with the arrival of the red bird. Vanessa is scared by the presence of the animal. She asks that her boyfriend expands and creature away from there. While taking it, laughs at the whole situation. Bird ignores the threats of firewood. It's completely ignoring Woodpecker, takes advantage and starts to eat the cheeses that were on the table. The girlfriend in sheets realizes this, asks him to do something about it immediately. Lawyer takes a broom and starts trying to hit the bird, but only manages to destroy the whole table, and in one of his attacks he ends up hitting Vanessa in the face, leaving the woman enraged. At dusk everyone slept except Lance wants to be woken up by the sounds of the bird pecking. Red the man realizes that Vanessa are sleeping, and to try to get rid of the annoying noises will confront Air directly. The damn creature, the woodpecker, is pecking in a dance rhythm, and at the same time has fun with the sound. Lance on the other hand is unhappy with the disturbance the bird is causing. As a result, the lawyer throws his shoe at the demented. A bird holds object and throws it back to the man, hitting it. The next day the new entrepreneurs start the works in the area with the machines. Architect workers ready to start work transforming that nature reserve into a large luxurious mansion. The woodpecker is woken up by the sound of excavators and drills, and several workers who are participating in the work. The bird finally understands that the family that was camped on the site are not tourists but new residents moved by the desire to protect the lands where the bird lives. Begins its mission to disrupt. The entire cost of his work interrupts the operation of one of the machines, causing an accident of work, and still hits Vanessa in the head like a shot in the air of her needs. The woman, enraged with the provocation of the bird, she tries to hit her with a piece of marble, but when trying to hit the bird she ends up hitting the window of her own car. While cause happened in the forest, Tom decided to visit the nearest town to enjoy his unexpected vacation a little. While visiting a musical instrument store, the boy is fascinated with an angry guitar. Immediately he starts playing some chords. It turns the sound of the instrument of a girl who took care of the store along with her family. Says the boy has talent and would make a good price for the boy to buy an instrument. Then he replies that he has no money, saying he was just playing for fun. The girl then proposes that he will borrow the guitar him for the rest of the summer on condition that he joins his band that will soon be performing in a festival. The boy gets excited and quickly agrees with the store's proposal. Tom and confronted by two bullies who claim to be Os Donos de Rua, and that's why the boy couldn't be walking to that place. Tom and replies that the street belongs to the government, and in reason for that it becomes public for all. The two boys are infuriated with the answer of the boy, taking the guitar from his hands and pushing him. At that moment the two bullies are involved by a kind of tornado. Immediately their clothes appear with several holes. Woodpecker had just finished arrive in the area and tell the two boys that no one would do anything wrong with their new friend to complete their mission. Little Bird completely destroys the two boys' clothes, leaving them to escape with only their underwear upon returning to their vacation home. His father everything that happened in town, saying he was saved by his new friend Woodpecker, who protected Vanessa from two bullies. Hearing that, gets furious because he can't take the bother of the bizarre bird anymore, but the boy defends his friend, saying that he is much more helpful and smart than she. Listening to this, firewood if he puts his son on good night. The lawyer is surprised again by the presence of Woodpecker that is now inside the trailer. Enraged, the man gets out of the car to confront the bird, but the bird hears the threats, insults from the lawyer, just makes him a clown, spilling countless pine cones over his head. The next day the works continue in full swing. However, the defender of that area leaves no one alone. To everyone's surprise, the bird causes chaos in the construction field, interrupting work tasks and the operation of the woodpecker machines. Sighting Lentz, Vanessa says that this time she won't leave out her two new ones. Neighbors, the couple then run to the car with the intention of protecting themselves from the attack, but what they didn't count on is that the bird is much smarter than the country thinks. Serenho approaches a panel that controls the cement launcher tube. By moving the lever, he positions the end of the tube right on top of the car in which the couple was pouring all the cement into the vehicle. Red if Vanessa are covered by a large amount of cement. Because of that, the work is interrupted once again because of Woodpecker. Later, the lawyer talks to the ranger Samantha. He identifies the bird that is causing all this mess in the construction field, and Sam replies that that is impossible, because the woodpecker, red-crested stick, has been extinct for almost 100 years. The woman doubts it is really this species of bird, but there it is stated that it is him, and asks how he can get rid of this damn bird. Samantha explains that in the past the natives believed that the pika pau is the reincarnation of Marconda, the chaos god of confusion, a mischievous spirit that has always haunted the forest. No one has been able to stand him for long, and for I that the only solution found was to flee the place. She also claims that if the existence of the bird in the region is real, the man cannot do anything that affects his well-being, otherwise he will pay a fine of $10,000 and spend 2 years in prison. The only solution is that he doesn't even try to live with the bird, but the man doesn't agree with that and leaves, saying that it didn't help at all. In the forest, the two, interested in the valuable woodpecker, continue a hunt, but when he returns to his car they realize that the tires were punctured and someone made a very provocative mess on the windshield of the truck. While they were wondering what had happened, the two men hear a laugh and some pecks deep in the forest in the city. The new band that Tone joined was rehearsing their songs for the festival. Hearing the song of his famous jingle, Woodpecker enters the store to follow the rehearsal. Right there, everyone starts to sing and play together with the red bird. The days go by and the woodpecker doesn't let anyone progress with the work. The bird makes several holes in the wooden stairs, causing numerous accidents among the workers, completely destroys the walls that were being put in place, and finally throws a beehive in the place as a way of alerting all the workers. In another day in the trailer, Vanessa tries to prepare a hot drink, but the bird appears and puts out the flames of the stove. He quickly leaves the place, and I await the result of his trap. The woman thought the fire intensity was weak due to reason. In addition, it released even more gas in the place. In a few seconds, a huge explosion happens inside the trailer. The car is practically destroyed by the flames, while Vanessa had part of her clothes and hair burned by the accident on the same day. She says besides that she can't stand to stay one more second in that place, and decided that he is going to a hotel until the works are finished, leaving only the lawyer and his son and the construction site. The woodpecker, on the other hand, says he did the right thing and ended up performing an act of kindness to Firewood's life himself, stating that that woman is a backrest in his life. That night, take Lace lie down in sleeping bags next to outdoors. The boy apologizes to his father for what happened with Vanessa, asking him not to be angry with the woodpecker, and the lawyer just accepts the apology and says that everything is fine. The next day he goes to the city to meet the exterminators of pests, being the same hunters who are after the red bird. The duo are known as the Grime Brothers. They are amazed when the man shows a picture of the bird that is disturbing the construction of their house. The hunters charge $500 for the service, but are warned by Bit to go to the place only after 10 a.m. because at that time his child would not be there, and so the tragic end of the animal on the day of the hunt would not come take his new friends. They walk through the forest. The group finds several bird feathers on the ground. Following this frightening trail, they find a kind of abandoned house. When they enter the place, they realize that there are several instruments for hunting wild animals, including an owl trapped in a cage. When they question themselves about the horrors that could happen in that place, everyone is surprised by the arrival of the hunters. The Grime Brothers contest the reason for the young people to be invaded the place. Already enraged, they expel everyone and threaten them, saying not to tell anyone what they saw in that house. The group of friends waste no time and immediately run away. Later, the hunters present their capture plans to Lentz. They would use a huge iron cage so that the bird could not escape, an electrical containment, and finally a dart launcher with sleeping pill that have a technology pursuit of the target. And as a way of attracting the bird to the local will use a doll of a female woodpecker and peanut butter. The woodpecker in his house continues singing and having fun as usual, but quickly smells the tasty peanut in the air and goes to find out where he is coming from. When he arrives at the local, finds not only a jar of peanut butter but also a female bird. He approaches the doll to try a romantic conversation, while the hunters observe everything, waiting for the exact moment to trigger the cage that will capture him. They trigger a device, but the bird leaves the area where the cage would fall. The two hunters, realizing that the foreground failed, leaving the hiding place and shoot the tranquilizer darts in the direction of the woodpecker creature. Tries to dodge the projects but realizes that they are chasing the red bird. Performs several maneuvers in the sky, returning at high speed to the place where the bird passes them, and the darts hit the two brothers squarely. The bird also did not forget the presence of Lance in the place. Using the electric net launcher, the creature takes off against the man, who is captured and immobilized on the ground. The woodpecker finishes his antics, recording the moment when the lawyer was captured by the nets in a camera, and goes to his house with a jar of peanut butter. The next day, the bid decides to do some shopping in the city. On the way, he meets the ranger Samantha. She asks about the woodpecker and says if the animal is still there causing problems, the lawyer should use a different strategy, such as trying to befriend him back. Forest. The man puts a sock on a piece of wood to signal a peace deal with woodpecker in exchange for peanut cookies. The red bird proves the biscuit and falls in love with the sweet taste. He takes the delicacy and replies that he will think about it as the days go by. And during the works, It always offers a box of biscuits for a bird that only then decides not to get in the way, and sometimes even helps in the construction of the house. Over time, the house is finally ready to be sold. The day of the city festival finally arrives, and the residents are enjoying the attractions and the party foods. East meets Samantha. She asks about the disturbances that the woodpecker has been causing, but the man replies that the idea of making peace with the bird was essential, and only then could they finish the work. Tommy's group would be the next to perform at the festival, but one of the members had participated shortly before a hot dog competition and ended up feeling sick with no one to play the drums. There were only so many left to perform the presentation. The duo goes on stage and informs that only the two of them would perform. They start to play using only the guitar and bass as instruments, and the woodpecker, who was watching the whole situation, decides to help them. The little bird Red makes a mini drums using cans and some pencils as a support with the help of the bird. Take Dill if they feel more confident and put on an incredible performance. After the show, Tone's band receives many compliments, and only at the end, when he is next to his father, Samantha reveals that woodpeckers helped the drums. The bird approaches his friends and finally meets Samantha, revealing to her that her race is not dressed yet. The red bird tells everyone he will find some snacks to eat for the festival, but in fact he went straight home from the forest. The little animal thought it was amazing all the time he spent next to his new friends. After all, he never had anyone by his side to have fun. As a way of thanks, Woodpecker makes an illustration on the wall of the house with the faces of Tone laced together with him. However, when he intended to put his signature on the work, he ended up hitting a wire of electricity, causing a spark that soon turned into flames. House quickly taken by the fire, being completely destroyed. The next day, the firefighters tell the Lens that the fire was caused by some wild animal, maybe a mouse, a squirrel, or even a bird. At that moment, the lawyer connects the facts and suspects that only one being would be able to cause that fire, so he calls the hunters again, requesting their work. Woodpecker on the side feels guilty about the whole situation, but says he didn't want to cause anyone any harm. However, the Grime brothers act fast, and with a machine they take down the tree where the bird lives. Stunned by the destruction of his house, the bird is hit full on by an electric taser, being trapped in a cage. Soon after, take it and asks his father not to let those men take the woodpecker because they would stuff it. Lance ignores his son's request, and the red bird is taken by the hunters. The boy then goes to the city in search of help to rescue Tar, his friend he convinced, and his other colleague to participate in the woodpecker rescue mission. The group goes to the Grimes brothers' house, and it doesn't take long for them to be discovered by one of the criminals. The two hunters at that moment are carrying out an illegal auction, managing to sell the legendary bird for $900,000. Meanwhile, the Scarf is walking through the remains of his home when he finds the wooden wall on which the woodpecker made his family's illustration. Watching this, realizes that the bird did not intend to cause the fire. The lawyer goes to the city in search of Samantha and asks her to help rescue the woodpecker. In a short time, the two arrive at the Grimes brothers' house. Lance asks the hunters about the bird, But they answer that they have already released it far from that place. Samantha, on the other hand, observes the food packages that were in some places in the forest. The forest guard pretends to leave with his colleague but says that the Grime brothers are the same ones responsible for carrying out the illegal practice of hunting in the forest. So the duo returns to the brothers' house. When they enter the place, they realize that both Woodpecker and Tone, their friends, were trapped in cages. One of the men acts in desperation and throws a punch and throw for the whole halo, while the other points his gun in Samantha's direction. In this way the couple ends up arrested by the criminals. The Grimes brothers' plan is to eliminate the Red Bird and then flee to Canada. Firewood, if you don't accept the idea of ending the Woodpecker's life. Because of that, he makes several attacks on the cage and ends up touching the cage in which the bird was trapped. He quickly opens that lid and the bird, so he decides to teach the two criminals a good lesson, leaving the unconscious easily. The city police arrive at the scene to provide support. The Grime brothers react to the sound of sirens. They flee in despair with the vehicle yellow, but Woodpecker won't let it get safe then easily, and that's why the little bird starts a frantic chase. The criminals reach a bridge that borders Canada. They walk to the place, but are surprised by the bird that quickly makes several holes in the structure, in which they were causing the two to fall into the river and be carried away by the current. The hunters arrive at a coastal area, but the police were already waiting for them there. They say they would rather go to prison than continue facing that damn bird. The next day, Spears and talks with Samantha, saying that the insurance will cover the expenses she had with the house fire, and so this time she will make a much smaller and compact house, just as the woman initially suggested, to preserve the ecology. The lawyer calls the Woodpecker, saying that there is a surprise for him from the bird to arrive at the place. The man removes a cloth that hid a beautiful and new tree house. He says that this is a way of rekindling their friendship. That night, Lace slept in her tent, but the little red bird started customizing her new home and ended up accidentally knocking her over with his pecks, apologizing once again to the new residents for importing them as usual. So what did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, like it and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.